Well, welcome back, viewers. This is Brian, the Three Topics Gamer, here to bring you another episode of my Versus series, and this time we will be returning to the always popular Assassin's Creed franchise. But in a twist, we will be pitting two members of the Templar Order from different eras against each other to see which one of these two men would walk away the winner. So if you do happen to enjoy this breakdown matchup, please be sure to give this video a thumbs up for the YouTube algorithm, as well as you can also share this video for all your friends and supporters to help spread the word. And if you haven't already done so, make sure you smash the subscribe button to keep track of me and all my future matchups I have planned to upload over the course of 2025. Before we begin, I would also like to state that these two deadly combatants will be used at the time of their deaths. So with that out of the way, I would also like to mention that just like I did in my last matchup video, I have recruited a very talented voice actor to help me with the voiceover this time. The talented Alessandro Ambrosio will be handling Cesaro's section, and I will also leave a link to his page if you wish to see more of his work. So wasting any more time, I'd like to let Mr. Ambrosio take it away.
Cesare Borgia was born in September 13, 1475, and was the illegitimate son of Rodrigo Borgia, who at the time was the Templar Grand Master, who would go on to claim the title of Pope. Like his father, Cesare served as a member of the Roman Rite of the Templar Order at a young age. But at the age of 18, Cesare would become a cardinal for the church, and would develop an ambition to become Captain General of the Papal Army, serving under his father. After hearing that his brother, Giovanni Borgia, was up for the position, Cesare had him murdered, which opened the path for Cesare to claim the title of Captain General of the Papal Army. For many years, Cesare would gain extensive combatant training and go on to win many battles, solidifying himself as an expert tactician. Cesare also succeeded in manipulating a member of the Assassin's Brotherhood to train a number of recruits for his plan of forming an anti-assassins group, which would be known as the Crows. After his father was defeated and lost the artifact known as the Apple of Eden by the assassin Ezio Auditore in 1499, Cesare would launch an attack on the town of Monteriggioni, which just so happened to be the headquarters of the Italian Assassin's Brotherhood. Cesare would not only succeed in destroying the entire town and recovering the Apple of Eden, but would go on to kill the majority of citizens there, including Ezio's uncle and leader of the Italian assassin order, Mario Auditore. This event would force Ezio and his remaining allies to flee to Rome. Over the next number of years working alongside his father, who was Pope at the time, Cesare would campaign all across Italy, suppressing rebellions and gaining many victories, which would grant him much more power and control over the city of Rome. However, in August of 1503, due to the efforts of the assassin Ezio Auditore, who had rebuilt the Italian Brotherhood, the funds for Cesare's army would be diminished, causing him to return to Rome and confront his father. Cesare wanted to take control of the Apple of Eden. He would be unknowingly poisoned by Rodrigo, believing his son had gotten out of control. In a rage, Cesare would kill Rodrigo and escape the city of Rome. But this action would make Cesare a criminal. And upon returning to the gates of Rome, the newly elected Pope would order for Cesare to be arrested, and he would be imprisoned in the Castel Sant'Angelo's fortress in Rome. Cesare would eventually escape, and in 1507 would command an army during the siege of Vienna. And during this battle, Cesare would face off against Ezio for the last time. While the battle was grueling for both men, Ezio would succeed in overpowering Cesare, throwing him off the walls of Vienna to his death. When it comes to Cesare's equipment, he wore a complete set of captain armor from the waist up that was constructed in layers, protecting him from a great number of direct attacks. His armor set also came with a cape to show his rank, and a neck guard which would protect him from attacks in that area. When it comes to his weapons, by the time the siege of Vienna took place, Cesare was equipped with a common dueling sword, a backup dagger, and surprisingly, a wheel-lock pistol, which was only effective at medium to close range. When it comes to Cesare's skill as a combatant, becoming Captain General of the Papal armies would have made Cesare one of the best combatants in all of Rome at that time. he gained many victories across Italy, which granted him great experience as a military leader, and always wanting to take part in the battles himself would have made Cesare an exceptionally skilled swordsman, at a time where personally owned firearms were just starting to be precise on the battlefield. His skills as swordsman were so developed that he went head-to-head with Ezio Auditore, who in my opinion was at the absolute apex of his assassin career in terms of skill set and physical capabilities. And despite Cesare suffering from a new disease, he was able to battle Ezio to near stalemate, giving Ezio probably the most difficult engagement of his life up to that point. Cesare's biggest problem as a combatant and tactician was his own arrogance, that tended to get him in trouble on multiple occasions.
Haytham Kenway was born September 16, 1725, and was the son of Edward Kenway, who at the time of Haytham's birth had received the rank of Master Assassin for the British Brotherhood located in London. Edward would train Haytham during his early years of his childhood, but after Edward was killed in 1735, Haytham would be converted to the Templar Order after being taken under the wing of Reginald Birch, who was the Grand Master of the British Rite of the Templar Order. Haytham would complete many assignments for the Templars and would eventually make his way to the American colonies, where he would establish the colonial rights of the Templar Order and be given the rank of Grand Master in 1754. It was the same year that Haytham would enter a relationship with a Native American woman, which would ultimately lead to the birth of their son, Connor Kenway, 2 years later. In 1758, Haytham would recruit former assassin Shay Cormac into the Templars, and over the next 2 years, the pair would be successful in nearly wiping out all of the assassins in the Colonial Brotherhood, leaving the assassin mentor, Achilles, crippled. In 1770, Haytham would be informed by his ally Charles Lee about the death of his wife, but he did not find out the final fate of their son until years later. It was during this same year that the Templars would execute their plans to help the American colonies break away from the British Empire. During the time of the American War of Independence, which began in April 19, 1775, Haytham would officially meet for the first time his son Connor Kenway, who at the time had just joined the assassins seeking revenge on Charles Lee. Under the tutelage of the assassin mentor Achilles, Connor would take out specific targets in order to interfere with the Templars' plan to control the American colonies. In 1778, Haytham and Connor would form a temporary alliance between the opposing factions in order to hunt down Benjamin Church, who had betrayed both the Templars and the Patriots. The pair would continue to work together, seeing that both had similar goals of helping the Patriot cause. It was during a meeting with General George Washington that Haytham would reveal that not only had Washington ordered an attack on Connor's village, believing that some of the natives had been working with the British, but it was under Washington's command that Connor's village was attacked 14 years ago during the 7 Years' War, which ultimately led to the death of Connor's mother. This revelation would break the alliance between the two, as Connor understood that Haytham had been keeping this information from him for years. By 1782, Connor would make his final assault to assassinate Charles Lee at Fort George, only for Haytham to reveal that he had sent Charles Lee away some time ago. The two would battle each other, and despite both men being seriously injured by an explosion caused by a cannonball, Connor would stab Haytham in the throat. In his last moments, Haytham would confess that despite their differences, Connor possessed qualities that were noble before he would die of his injury. When it comes to Haytham's equipment, he still applies some aspect of the Assassin Brotherhood. Haytham wields dual hidden blades, with his left arm equipped with a pivot blade that Haytham had taken from an assassin that he'd killed back in 1753. He is also equipped with a sword, a collection of smoke bombs, and a flintlock pistol. When it comes to Haytham's skill set as a combatant, his father Edward Kenway had trained him in swordsmanship and in unarmed combat at a young age. His proficiency in both departments would develop greatly over the next number of decades during his time as a member of the Templars. Over the years, Haytham had become a master swordsman, utilizing an elegant fighting style which closely resembled that of classic fencing, combining slashes and thrusting. He would also apply physical strikes with his free hand during his sword maneuvers. He was also a brilliant tactician, as being a Grand Master of the Templars, Haytham was skilled in organization and deception. Haytham was also still a proficient freerunner even into his 50s, and was able to stealthily climb inside of an opera house, the buildings of the colonial Americans, as well as natural obstacles such as cliffs and glaciers with little effort, but he did seem to have some difficulty climbing trees. Much like his ally Shay Cormac, as both men have experience operating in both factions, they both took advantages of the unique skills that both the Templars and Assassins were capable of, which tactically would make them both extremely efficient killers. Now that we've established both of these deadly Templars, it's time to reveal who I believe would walk away the winner. And that winner is going to be Haytham. At first going into this matchup, I was sure that Cesare would take this one. The combination of him being just as skilled of a swordsman as Haytham, due to him operating during a time where sword fighting was the standard way of fighting, combined with him being able to fight such a difficult challenge to Ezio at his absolute apex, which in my opinion, Ezio is certainly superior to Haytham as a combatant in every way. When you also consider that Cesare wears layers of armor, which would certainly protect him from both Haytham's hidden blades and his single flintlock pistols, he literally has to be beaten down layer by layer, which certainly would be a problem for Haytham's swordsman's fighting style, which is much more elegant and not based off of brute force. This means that in a direct head-to-head fight, Haytham is going to be at a serious disadvantage, as Haytham does not wear any armor at all, which means that he would be extremely vulnerable to all of Cesare's methods, whether it be involving his sword, dagger, or pistol. But one way that Haytham can get the win here is by taking his advantage in experience as being Cesare's senior by about 20 years and recognizing that he needs to change his approach by using an indirect approach. If Haytham applies his smoke bombs to blind Cesare, then uses eagle eye ability, he can then attack Cesare where he's distracted and confused and take him out with a single blow. And given how much of a hothead and impulse Cesare is, his early success against Haytham will certainly go to his head. It's Haytham's ability to recognize the situation and change his tactics completely that will give him the win. And a key reason why having multiple backgrounds in both the Assassin and Templar ways is an effective use for a combatant. And it is for these reasons that Haytham Kenway, the Grand Master of the Templars, is the winner. So that'll do it for my Assassin's Creed matchup for my 7th season of my Versus series. I would love to hear your thoughts on my analysis of this engagement in the comments down below, and if you haven't already, I would really appreciate if you can give this video a thumbs up for the algorithm to help spread the word, and if you press the subscribe button to keep track of me and all my future videos that I have planned for the rest of 2025. Also, for the next matchup, we will be hitting our Devil Trigger and going back to the Devil May Cry franchise. And this matchup idea was actually sent to me by one of you awesome viewers out there, as Nero from Devil May Cry 4 will take on V from Devil May Cry 5. I have a feeling that this matchup is going to really stand out, and I'm excited to get to work on this matchup. And I hope you guys are excited too. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you all next time.